My beloved child, something has shifted quietly behind the scenes, and before you decide this is just another message, hear what your soulmate has finally understood. They are not imagining a temporary chapter with you anymore. In their heart, they have been picturing something far bigger, years passing, seasons changing, ordinary mornings becoming precious memories, and somehow, through all of it, you are still there. But there is one condition. And no, it may not be what you are expecting. Stay a little longer, because the meaning behind that condition changes everything. Your soulmate has been asking themselves a question they could no longer avoid. If I had the chance to choose one person to keep beside me through every version of my future, who would I choose? The answer arrived more clearly than they expected. You. Yet immediately after that answer came another realization. Wanting forever is easy. Building something worthy of forever is different. That is where the condition begins. They do not want you to become perfect. They do not want you to prove yourself every day. They are not secretly waiting for you to transform into somebody else. In fact, the thought moving through their heart is almost the opposite. Their condition is that neither of you should have to lose yourselves just to keep the connection alive. Read that again in your heart. Because your soulmate has started imagining a future where two people don't remain together because they are afraid of change, but because they continue choosing honesty, growth, understanding, and respect even as life changes around them. They want a connection where your dreams still matter. Where their dreams matter too. Where silence doesn't become distance, and where difficult conversations become bridges instead of walls. But there is another layer. Don't move away from this moment yet. Your soulmate has noticed something about you that they may never have said aloud. They see strength beneath the parts of you that others misunderstand. They see possibilities in you that perhaps even you have questioned. And strangely, this is exactly why they don't want a future built on possession. They want partnership. Imagine the scene years from now. The world looks different. Plans have changed. New opportunities have appeared. Both of you have grown into stronger versions of yourselves. And still, when your soulmate looks across the room, they recognize the same person who once made them wonder whether forever could actually feel peaceful. That is the future they are considering. But the condition becomes even more important here. They need to know that the future would be chosen by both hearts, freely and sincerely, not because destiny forced anything, but because two people kept showing up with truth. And something about this realization has changed the way they think about you. There was once a question in their mind, could this really last? Now the question is different. What would we need to protect so that it could? That change is enormous. Because when someone stops wondering whether you belong in their future and begins wondering how to build that future well, their perspective has crossed an invisible line. Stay with this story, because the condition isn't finished yet. There is one final piece your soulmate associates with forever, and it is the piece most people overlook. It has nothing to do with grand promises, perfect timing, or dramatic gestures. It is something quieter. Something you may already possess. And once you understand what it is, you may finally understand why your soulmate's idea of forever has suddenly started pointing directly toward you. There is a moment when a person stops dreaming about forever and starts asking what would actually make forever possible, and your soulmate has reached that moment. Stay a little longer, because the condition they have been carrying in their heart is finally becoming clear. It isn't about changing your personality, abandoning your ambitions, or constantly proving how much you care. The condition is simpler, deeper, and far more meaningful. If they stay with you, they want both of you to keep choosing each other without losing the truth of who you are. Your soulmate doesn't want a connection held together by pressure, they want one strengthened by honesty. They imagine being able to tell you what they are thinking without wondering whether they will be misunderstood. They want you to have that same freedom with them. And somewhere inside this realization, something surprising happened. They stopped imagining you only in extraordinary moments. They began seeing you in the ordinary ones. Quiet mornings. Unexpected changes. Small victories nobody else notices. Conversations after exhausting days. Dreams that take years to become real. Don't skip this thought, because this is where their vision becomes much bigger than romance alone. They want to grow beside you. They don't want one person constantly chasing while the other remains still. They want two lives moving forward together, sometimes at different speeds, but always respecting where the other person is going. And here is the detail they haven't been able to ignore: you have already shown them glimpses of the quality they are searching for. Maybe it was your patience when something didn't happen immediately. Maybe it was the way you continued moving forward when circumstances changed. Maybe it was simply the fact that beneath everything, you remained yourself. Whatever created that impression, it made them wonder, could we actually build something lasting instead of merely wishing for it? But wait, because the condition has another side. Your soulmate understands that forever cannot mean promising that nothing will ever change. Everything changes. People learn. Dreams evolve. New paths appear. Their real hope is that when those changes arrive, neither of you immediately stops recognizing the person standing beside you. They want curiosity instead of assumptions, communication instead of guessing, and respect strong enough to leave room for both people to become more than they were yesterday. That is why their condition isn't a demand placed only on you. They are placing it on themselves too. If they ask for honesty, they must offer honesty. If they ask for patience, they must practice patience. If they want their dreams understood, they must make room for yours. That realization may be the biggest sign yet that their thoughts about you have become serious. And if this message reminds you of the kind of connection you believe people should build, you can share it, leave your thoughts in the comments, or subscribe and stay with this journey, because what comes next reveals the question your soulmate would need answered before they could truly say, yes, this is the person I want beside me for the long road. And that question may surprise you, because it isn't asking whether you love them enough. It asks something much deeper about the future you could create together. Don't leave before that turning point. The final layer of their condition is still waiting to be revealed. Now comes the question your soulmate cannot answer by looking at the past, and this is where the entire meaning of forever changes. In the quiet future they have imagined with you, they keep returning to one thought. When life gives us new chapters, will we still make room to discover each other again? Stay with this, because that question is the hidden layer beneath their condition. Your soulmate understands that knowing someone today does not mean you automatically know who they will become tomorrow. They don't want to hold you permanently inside an old version of yourself, and they don't want you to do that to them either. They want the freedom to grow, dream differently, learn, mature, and still turn toward each other with genuine curiosity. Imagine years passing and your soulmate looking at you with the same interest they had when everything felt new, not because nothing changed, but because they kept wanting to know the person you were becoming. That is what they secretly mean when they imagine staying with you forever. And here is the unexpected part: their condition isn't, "Promise you'll never change." It is almost the opposite. Their condition is, "If we change, let's keep discovering each other instead of becoming strangers to each other's growth." Let that thought settle for a moment. Many people imagine forever as one enormous promise made once, but your soulmate is beginning to see it as thousands of smaller choices made across time. Listening when it would be easier to assume. Speaking honestly when silence would be easier. Celebrating each other's progress instead of competing with it. Giving each other space without turning that space into distance. And most importantly, remembering that being together should never require either person to become smaller. Something huge is waiting inside this realization, because your soulmate isn't simply imagining whether you could fit into the life they already have. They are imagining building a life where both of you have room to become more. Picture two paths beginning separately and gradually moving alongside one another, not one path swallowing the other, but both continuing toward a horizon neither person could have reached in exactly the same way alone. That is the futuristic vision appearing in their mind when they think about you. Yet there is still one question they would eventually need to hear answered, not with dramatic words, but through consistent actions. Can we keep choosing respect when the excitement becomes familiar? Because forever isn't made only from unforgettable days. It is shaped by ordinary Tuesdays, changed plans, patient conversations, shared laughter, personal ambitions, and countless moments when two people decide that understanding each other still matters. Your soulmate seems to be realizing something powerful. They don't need a flawless future with you. They want a real one. A future where mistakes can become lessons, achievements can be celebrated together, individuality can remain alive, and neither person needs to pretend to be perfect to feel valued. So before you go, remember this: the condition was never designed as a test for you to pass. It is a standard they believe both people must live by. Keep growing. Keep communicating. Keep respecting the person beside you. Keep choosing freely. Because perhaps the strongest version of "stay with me forever" isn't "never become different." Perhaps it is, become everything you are meant to become, and if our paths continue together, let us never stop learning who we are becoming. And just when your soulmate thought they had finally understood what forever required, another realization appeared, one that could completely change what they decide to do next. But something your soulmate realized about the future has quietly rewritten everything they thought they knew about staying together, and this time, it isn't just a beautiful idea. It is a decision beginning to take shape. Stay close to this moment, because the next piece explains why that one condition matters so deeply to them. Your soulmate has started understanding that forever cannot survive on powerful feelings alone. Feelings can open the door, but what happens after that door opens depends on something far more lasting: how two people treat each other when nobody is watching, when there is nothing dramatic happening, when life simply becomes life. And strangely, that realization made them think of you even more. They imagined reaching an important milestone and wanting you to be the first person they tell. They imagined you achieving something you once believed was impossible and feeling genuinely proud to stand beside you. They pictured plans changing unexpectedly, new opportunities arriving, different dreams appearing, and instead of wondering, "Will this pull us apart?" they found themselves asking, "How could we face this together without holding each other back?" That question revealed something enormous. Your soulmate doesn't want forever to feel like a cage around two people who once cared deeply for each other. They want it to feel like an open road where both people can keep moving, learning, laughing, creating, and becoming. And here is the part you might miss if you leave too soon: they are beginning to understand that their condition requires action from them first. They cannot ask you to communicate openly while hiding their own thoughts. They cannot ask you to respect their dreams while treating yours as secondary. They cannot expect patience without learning to offer it. Suddenly, forever isn't something they are asking you to give them. It is something they are wondering whether they are ready to build with you. Pause on that difference. It changes the entire story. Because somewhere inside their vision of the years ahead, they have stopped asking, "What can this person do to make me stay?" and started asking, "What kind of person must I become if I want something this meaningful to last?" And that may be the most important shift yet. If this story speaks to the kind of connection you believe in, you can share it with someone who needs that reminder. Tell me in the comments what you think makes a connection last, and subscribe if you want to continue these stories with me. Now stay until the final moment, because your soulmate's vision goes even further. Imagine a future evening years from now. The world outside has changed in ways neither of you could have predicted. Some dreams came true exactly as planned, others led somewhere completely unexpected. You both carry stories you haven't lived yet. And your soulmate looks at you and realizes something remarkable: the greatest success wasn't keeping everything exactly the same. It was creating enough trust for both of you to change without losing the ability to understand one another. That is their condition in its fullest form. Not perfection. Not endless agreement. Not giving up individuality. Mutual growth without losing mutual respect. And now one final question remains in their mind, a question that could determine whether this imagined forever stays a beautiful possibility or becomes something they are genuinely willing to move toward. The surprising part? That question isn't really about the future at all. It is about what they have already noticed happening between you right now, and then your soulmate noticed one small detail they could no longer dismiss, and suddenly, the future they had only imagined began to feel possible. It wasn't a dramatic sign or some perfect moment. It was the realization that the strongest connections are often revealed through patterns. How someone listens, how they respond when plans change, whether they respect boundaries, whether they celebrate growth instead of fearing it. Stay a little longer, because this is where their final question begins to answer itself. Your soulmate has been wondering, are we already becoming the kind of people who could build that future together? And when they look at the connection through that lens, they don't search for perfection. They search for direction. Are both people becoming more honest? More understanding? More capable of saying what matters without turning every difference into distance? Are dreams being encouraged rather than reduced? Are mistakes becoming lessons instead of permanent labels? These are the things your soulmate now associates with forever, because they have realized something most people understand only much later. lasting connection isn't created by finding someone who never challenges your perspective. It is created when two people can remain respectful while learning from their differences. And here is where their condition reaches its deepest meaning. They want to stay with you forever, but only if forever remains a choice both of you are allowed to make freely, again and again. They don't want you beside them because you feel trapped by a promise. They want you there because the relationship continues giving both of you reasons to choose it. Think about how different that is. Instead of saying, "You promised, therefore you must stay," their vision says, "Let us build something so genuine that tomorrow we still want to choose each other." Don't skip what comes next, because your soulmate has also turned that expectation toward themselves. They know they would have to become someone you could freely choose too. Someone who listens rather than assumes. Someone who respects your ambitions instead of treating them like competition. Someone capable of admitting when they need to understand you better. Someone who doesn't expect yesterday's version of you to remain frozen forever. And that thought has created an unexpected sense of responsibility inside them. They aren't only imagining receiving your loyalty, they are thinking about becoming worthy of your trust. Now picture the future they see. Not some flawless cinematic world where every day feels extraordinary, but something more meaningful. Two people sitting together after years of shared experiences and realizing they never stopped giving each other room to breathe, dream, learn, and evolve. The extraordinary thing wasn't that life stayed easy. It was that neither person had to disappear inside the relationship for the relationship to survive. That is the condition. Stay together, but never stop becoming yourselves. Choose each other, but never stop respecting each other's freedom. Build a shared future, but keep encouraging the individual dreams that make each person feel alive. And perhaps that is why your soulmate's thoughts have become so serious lately. Forever no longer sounds like one giant promise to them. It sounds like 1,000 ordinary mornings where respect is chosen again, 1,000 conversations where curiosity replaces assumptions, and 1,000 opportunities to say through actions, "I still want to understand the person you're becoming." But just when this realization seemed complete, another thought entered their mind, one they hadn't prepared for. Because if they truly want this kind of forever with you, there may be something they need to say first. Something simple. Something honest. And once those words are finally spoken, the entire direction of this connection could become clearer than either of you expected.